Good morning, Roll Gang, and welcome on in to another Island Edition episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. It's Processor Sky here, your host on this show this morning, and I am super excited to get on into this Cannabis News Thursday episode of the show, and we are going to go smoke some herb. We're going to roll up some weed with our rolling spoon just like every single weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time and, blaze it up and talk about some cannabis news this morning on this Canna News Thursday episode of the show. But before we get on into the news segments this morning, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors because they make rolling up possible and learning about pot possible, and got a couple opportunities for you guys in the show. So the first sponsor, as always, of the Weekday Wake and Bake is the Rolling Spoon, the most efficient way to procure your canny bee. This all-in-one cannabis multi-tool will help you seal the deal and roll a dime every single time. And this episode is brought to you as well by Oaksterdam University, my proud alumni and the school where I learned everything that I know now about pot. So if you're interested in learning more about the industry or more about the science or the business behind this beautiful plant, promo code Rolling Spoon gives you a 10% scholarship off your tuition at Oaksterdam. So use promo code Rolling Spoon and take advantage of this opportunity to educate yourself on the industry. But without further ado, it's time to put the Anchorman Processor cap on and get on into this week's cannabis news. As I lick it and stick it on this Weekday Wake and Bake Canna News Thursday, let's get on into these stories. What do y'all say, Roll Gang? Good morning, Roll Gang. Thank you, everybody tapping in. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Oh, you guys are all the shit, and I am so hyped, as always, to have a nice sesh with you guys this morning. So, the first piece of cannabis news here on Canna News Thursday, the Weekday Wake and Bake. Smoking on live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Oof. Good morning, Roll Gang. That's some good herb. That's what I'm talking about. So the first bit of cannabis news here on this episode comes from my original home state of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania approved a duo of bills that are going to, one, fix cannabis banking in the state so that cannabis companies can, they can actually bring the money they're making from this beautiful plant in this industry to the bank, So it's kind of obvious as legality changes in the states that they also reform up the cannabis banking. And they also crucially are reforming the cannabis DUI so that people that just, their car smells like their medicine don't get a DUI because they smell. So based on this new bill in Pennsylvania, you will have to be belligerent or at least showing signs of impairment whenever they give out a DUI for cannabis, but not anymore. They just passed this bill that will make giving out cannabis DUIs much more difficult for police officers because honestly, it's not like being drunk. you know, and it's not as easy to tell. And the only reason you should ever have a DUI, a driving under the influence, is if you're under the influence of an impairing substance, if you're impaired in that moment. So it's super exciting that Pennsylvania isn't going to be bullying people because of the smell of their car anymore and reformed up the cannabis DUI bill. So, another amazing piece of cannabis news coming at the federal level this time. So, the federal government, a key House committee for the feds, approved an amendment to protect the states that have legalized cannabis from federal intervention. So, that bullshit that happened at sponsor of the show, Oaksterdam, in 2016, that cannot happen. So the federal government went into California where it's completely legal to grow plants and to educate people on how to grow plants. The feds raided Oaksterdam and took all their plants and all their herb just because cannabis is not legal at the federal level. Well, now, based on a new approved amendment from a key House committee, the legalized states will be able to operate at their own levels without the risk of federal intervention, which is super huge. Huge shout out to the federal government for staying out of the states' business, because as the states are evolving in ways, we have to have the freedom to evolve our own cannabis reform. So the federal government is allowing they're protecting states from federal intervention in cannabis. I absolutely love that for our budding industry. So another great piece of cannabis news at the federal level coming up, this one's actually pretty eye-opening. I love whenever the feds show accountability for their wrongdoings. But before that, this smoke is almost too good. I'm having trouble puffing on it. Rolled with a spoon to get a dime every time. Oh, gotta have that perfect burn. What's up, Cali 420 Love? Best news ever. Good morning, bro 420. Let's go. Hope you're having a great sesh this morning. I hope everybody tuning in is having a nice smoke this morning. Getting a good wake and bake in like we do every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Cali 420 Love rolling up one with his rolling spoon. Let's get it, my man. So the next piece of federal cannabis news is a federal government employee showing accountability. What? So the Office of National Drug Control Policy, the ONDCP, Office of National Drug Control Policy, their director, Rahul Gupta, fielded a series of questions that were being asked on Monday regarding cannabis. And through these questions, he actually showed accountability for the fact that cannabis has been very promising medicine in some fields, and without the benefits, and that it actually may be a healthy alternative to some of the drugs that hospitals will prescribe patients if they're sick or not well, whatever they deem needs opioids or other life-altering medications. So Rahul Gupta showed accountability. He admitted, all right, cannabis could be a pretty effective alternative for these medicines. Well, guess what, bro? You still have it. It's a super contradiction, because your federal government says that cannabis is Schedule 1. And in the definition for a Schedule 1 substance, there can be no medicinal value. So what is it? You're being accountable for the medicinal value, but I mean, if there's medicinal value, it couldn't possibly be Schedule 1. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting contradiction there, Rahul, but I appreciate your accountability. But it's the first step in descheduling this beautiful substance. I mean, we just have to get it approved by the House. But, I mean, if he can be accountable for the medical benefits of this beautiful plant, then so can the Senate whenever they need to. So, he was also adamant that the Biden committee is committed to proactivity in cannabis reform. So super exciting to see some federal movement there. And we got some last bit of cannabis news coming from the home front in Las Vegas. Yo, the Nevada CCB, the Cannabis Control Board, said that consumption lounges will be set to open by the end of 2022, hopefully. So we're only a couple months away now from the open of consumption lounges across Nevada and Las Vegas. You can catch your boy, the Processor, teaching all types of roll tutorials at consumption lounges coming up. I am super excited about that piece of cannabis news. Nevada consumption lounges coming soon, and the Chamber of Cannabis was a huge part in getting the bill written to legalize consumption lounges. But yo, huge moves all across the board on this Canna News Thursday. Can't help but to be excited about the budding industry and just super excited for this wave, and what a beautiful plant to be a part of and passionate about, Roll Gang. But I will be back. You guys know where to find me tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time for Fuck Yeah Friday Island Edition. And you guys know how it is. I'm gonna go finish this joint out by the bay where the watermelons grow. And yeah, I am so appreciative for everybody tuning in for this episode of the Wake and Bake, and I will see you guys tomorrow, Roll Gang. I appreciate you. This has been a fabulous episode of Cannabis News Thursday, and Anchorman Processor Sky. Peace out, Roll Gang. Have a great